Firstly, thank you everyone for taking your time and joining this online webinar hosted by UXness on remote usability testing. Today we will talk about a little bit detail into the remote usability testing. What are the different best practices, what different modes, how to prepare a plan, and also in the interest of time, we will also see a kind of a live demo to how to set up your prototypes in one of the specialized usability testing tool. Before we go into the detail on this, I just wanted to talk about a little bit on UXness. So UXness is a free online platform for all the UX designers where they can actually come and learn about different user experience, usability related topics. It's a kind of a platform where different authors, different UX authors actually try to prepare a kind of a good curated content on different topics, as well as you can get the information about tools, design events, UX courses, books, many things. UXness is also one of the education partner of IDF, Interaction Design Foundation. It has more than 22,000 designers connect across the globe. Now, just a small intro about me. My name is Abhishek Jain. I'm design lead UX researcher at KPIT Technologies and also the co-founder of UXness. I have the experience on working on different various UX research activities across the globe. I have conducted in-person user research and usability testings in different geographies like US, UK, Germany, Southeast Asia, Malaysia, like India, and many such areas. So now the question comes, I think I'm just assuming that most of the people are already aware about what is usability testing, at least in-person usability testing and kind of the lab control usability testing. Today we'll talk about remote usability testing. So many such people have already conducted the in-person usability testing or lab control usability testings for their products and projects. And now the question comes whether everything can get tested over remotely or over the different platforms. Does it not necessary to have an in-person connect with the users? That kind of a questions or myths comes into the mind when it comes to the remote usability testing. So definitely we'll talk about the pros and cons of it as well. But correctly, let's understand what is remote usability testing. Remote usability testing is a kind of a method or a tool by which facilitator or moderator, who is actually the UX designer or researcher, can perform the usability testing with the end user or with the participants being in the natural environment, not sitting, we can say, in person together, but over the remotely they can connect. So with the help of any usability testing tool, which is available for specialized or any communication channel, communication platforms, moderator can connect with the end users, or sometimes it is also not necessary to connect with the participant to moderator. Only participant can also perform the testing. So we'll talk about that in detail, but it's kind of a it's kind of a using the technology into the UX research activity just to perform the testing and get the insights in a quick manner. It has many such advantages, and that is why remote usability testing is also valuable. So so some of the advantages are the best one is the time saving. When it comes to the in-person usability testing, it takes a lot of time for you to set up it, identify the people, invite them in the control environment, conduct the sessions, and then go into the analysis phase. Based upon that, you will be able to derive the insights. But all these process in the remote usability testings saves a lot of time for you, especially the recruiting the participant, because most of the participants have also kind of a tendency to come into their premise when it comes to the in-person. But in the case of remote usability testing, they can actually perform the testing in their own natural environment without being actually naturally present. There is also one important parameter of ecological viability. If there is a kind of a study has happened that when you conduct the controlled environment usability testing, Sometimes it happens that the participants tend to have a bias, and they do not, sometimes they do not perform naturally, and they do not behave naturally. But in the case of remote usability testing, this bias has little bit less tendency, because they are already in their natural environment, where they will be using the product, and they have little bit better true behavior on that. With the help of remote usability testing, you can actually conduct more tests per day, because it saves a lot of travel time and other adjustment times which you actually have to perform when you're working in the in-person. You can actually get the cross-geographical mix user research, user data, and that is very valuable. The most important part is it cuts the cost drastically, because it doesn't require a kind of a travel and other activities. You can actually perform the testings. You can actually perform, even the participant do not have to perform, do the travel and all. It reduces the cost as well. At the same time, there are some limitations as well in the remote usability testing. The most important part is controlling the environment. When it comes to the in-person remote usability, in-person testing, usability testing or lab control testing, moderator is actually physically present with the user, and he can actually control and moderate the session in a different way. There are many such factors you can actually control, but in the case of remote usability testing, moderation and controlling the environment is a little bit challenging. Also, if you do not have proper hardware and software tool change setup at the participant site, you can actually not observe the non-verbal cues like body language, their facial expressions. It is also able to observe these things, but it requires some kind of a setup, requires some kind of a arrangements before that. The most important part is the building rapport with the participant at the time of moderation. That becomes a kind of a challenging, because of the network delays, or say kind of a if you're not conducting the moderated testing and all, it becomes such kind of a challenge. Talking about the limitations, there are also issues related to the session duration. When it comes to the remote usability testing, session length plays an important part, because most of the people do not wanted to sit longer on the desktop or in their places over the phone just to conduct the testing. It is very important for you to think about proper duration of the session. Also, it has some issues related to the network connectivity. Imagine a case then where you have to engage the participant for usability testing who is from the rural side or area where the network connectivity is an issue. Then it becomes an issue for you to conduct these kind of sessions. Especially, I think we all are aware about this COVID-19 situation, and why remote usability testing has been pumped up too much in this time frame. There are some reasons for it. First of all, everybody is working from home. Most of the companies is actually working from home and thinking about a way where they can actually work remotely. In that case, this becomes a very important aspect to have UX team also some capabilities to conduct these kind of testings. You may not get always a kind of a controlled environment or usability labs to conduct these sessions. I think these are the different alternative ways, innovative ways we'll have to think about it. Another big reason is, I think most of the business is facing a lot of a kind of economical impact negatively due to this coronavirus and other things. So most of the companies are looking for cost cuttings and other processes which will require lesser cost, lesser kind of a cost. In that case, this this becomes very important for us to opt into the remote usability testing. When it comes to the travel restrictions, I think it is happening across the globe. And currently, the social distancing is the mantra. All these reasons are actually impacting and persuading us towards the remote usability testing. Now, the question comes, what can get tested remotely, if we can say? If we are working on any prototype, if we are working on any concept, if we have wireframes ready, if we have high fidelity wireframes, or if we have working application, if you have mobile application, tablet application, web applications, I think the answer is everything. Everything can get tested over remotely. You just need to have a proper understanding about different prototypes and the tool on to which you are going to use, and with the help of that you can actually use it. You can actually perform the testing. There are different kind of modes available when you conduct remote usability testing, like moderated remote usability testing, unmoderated remote usability testing. In the case of moderated usability testing, remote usability testing, I think moderator or the facilitator and observer and participant, all people are actually present together in a virtual space somewhere over the internet. And the best part is, if you have proper setup ready for hardware and other different tools, then you can also observe the participant while he is performing any activity. You can actually look for his facial expressions and other things. You can actually go and chat and talk with him, go some questions and probe. You can probe and go deeply in any topic. It's better to have when you have to judge on any usability issues or any complex scenarios, you can actually use this kind of a testing. There is one more way where you just have to set up the complete testing, and with the help of the tool, participant, they can come anytime and they can perform the test. You do not have to present physically, or we can say not physically, but you do not have to present along with the participant, and that is called the unmoderated remote usability testing. So at this time, your tool, which the tool which you are using, that should be capable enough to capture most of the users' insights and interactions. And with the help of that, people can later on you can actually come back and you can observe the data. Unmoderated remote usability testing is really good when you just have to when you are in very initial ages of the product conceptualization, where you just have to analyze the uh, concept, or just go for any feedbacks, initial level feedbacks. And also at the very later stage, when you just have to calculate different kind of a matrices, like success rates or average time span and everything other things, where you do not have to go in detail, because you already have done the moderated one. So the best practice is to, with respect to your goals and with respect to your matrices of your research question, you should use any of these method, or you can also combine in a tactful way. There are some, I have listed some tools which are actually available and which you can use for your remote usability testing. Some of them have also used, and I really like some tools which has very good facilities, like user zoom, user testing, and user crowd. These are one of my favorite tools, as well as maze and hotjar. These are my favorite tools because I'm currently using on a regular basis these. Here, some tools provide you to set up the remote usability testing and get the kind of a testing setup. Some tools also provide you the participants. If you have already prepared a kind of a screener or user profiles, with the help of their own database, they can actually check for they can actually check for so I have some questions, but I would like to answer those questions at the time of Q&A. So let me continue that. So there are some tools which are actually, most of the tools are also free for limited usage. Like Hotjar is one of the tool which is actually free for limited use when you have less than 2000 hits per day in your website or something. Maze is also one of the kind of a free tool with limited usage. But yeah, with the help of these tools, you can actually combine. If you also combine the collaboration tool like Skype, WebEx, GoToMeetings, Zoom, Google Meet, or Teams, or any other such kind of a collaborative application like Blue Jeans, something, then you can actually combine the complete session into moderated one. So there is a kind of a very good analysis done by NN Group. I just wanted to have a look and share some thoughts on this. So here, if you can see, They have a kind of a categorization of the tools with respect to the data they provide. So if you actually look at the qualitative side, then user testing, userlytics, try my UI, user zooms, loop 11, these are the tools which actually provides you both kind of a data, qualitative as well as quantitative. Whereas when it comes to the maze or concept app, these are the application which provides you more quantitative data. But as I said, if you combine the collaboration tool along with your usability testing tool, you can actually gather both kind of a data in that. So today maybe we'll see. I'm going to use Maze tool to set up a usability testing for one of my prototype. It can be done unmoderated if you just share the link of the testing, and it can also be done as the moderated one if you combine if I use Zoom and WebEx. What how do you plan the usability testing? So this becomes most important. So whenever you plan usability testing, you should consider for these many things. The most important part is what research question you are going to answer. What is your goal with respect to your product design or prototype or testing or anything? Just if you are able to identify the goals properly, then only you can actually define what kind of a matrices you have to complete, you have to metrics you have to actually gather, and that tells you what kind of a mode you have to use for testing and what tools you have to use. So all these questions are interlinked, all these points are interlinked. Research goal is one such important factor which controls each and everything. Another part is that have a proper a user profile as well as the screener. You should be ready enough, and you have to prepare a kind of a task which you actually wanted to test. You can also prepare pre and post usability testing questionnaires or SUS with respect to your research goal, with respect to the need of your product. And most important part, you also have to schedule about the time frame budget for your product. So this is one example of the sample usability testing plan I have just showcased over here. Now, what are the different best practices when it comes to the usability testing remotely? First of all, whenever you have any application or prototype or any product which can get used across the world with different users from different geographies, always try to have a diversity in your users whenever you recruit. Also, whenever you are scheduling any moderated session, always notify the users in advance and frequently, because in remotely people might get missed that particular thing. If you have any special instructions to be given to the participants, provide them in advance. The another part is the consent forms and NDA. You should get it signed before the scheduled session, and user has all the rights to leave the session anytime. Task length becomes very critical in remote usability testing sessions. Don't have a complex task getting tested over there. Instead, break that particular complex task into smaller ones. Limit the session duration. A screener is really important for you. Do not just try to create usability testing and just share it over the internet or social media. Just you get a kind of a more responses. I think it's better not to get more response, instead getting more error wise responses. Expect a kind of a delays in communication with respect to the bandwidth while moderation, and also always have a backup plan. Always prepare your alternatives ready. Test it before you actually go test, but also do not just test the testing setup, but also test that kind of a data you are actually getting, because that data is going to help you in identifying the insights for the product. So very quickly, we have very few minutes, so I just wanted to take that. I have taken one of the concept wireframe. This is a need hunt. What I did, I have prepared a kind of a InVision prototype for it. It's kind of a clickable prototype of a wireframe, and I'm using Maze tool. And these kind of a task I have prepared. So I'm going to use this task like search service provider. This is a kind of a scenario for a participant to perform the testing, and these are the alternative ways. So how would I go ahead and prepare this particular task? So let me just showcase you that. So this is the InVision prototype. And what you actually have to do, I think most of the people are aware about Envision. What you actually have to do is just take the public link of your prototype, go over the maze. This is a maze tool. Once you log in, you will be able to see like this. Just paste your URL over here, and you can create the project. Once you are able to create the project, then you can actually create the setup. You can just go inside it and start creating missions. So missions are actually the task on which you actually have to create the testing. So I am creating a task for searching service provider, and this is the kind of a scenario I have taken. So let me just take task as search for service provider. This is the task name. I can provide the description or the scenario over here. Now what I have to do is that I have to actually tell the tool what is the expected or the correct path. So user will come over here, he will select the city, he will select city Mumbai, he will select area Andheri, and then he can actually select the newspaper delivery, and then he will hit the search button. So here, if user is able to come at this screen, I think my task is successfully completed. Okay, so in that case, I have just created one task. I'm just, you can actually create more tasks, and you can create more multiple things like yes and no answers and other things. Let's create one more yes and no answer. Is it easy to find service provider over at Needhunt? So I just created yes or no answer. Okay, and then you can start the testing. Once you are actually start the testing, then you can actually see the testing link. So this is a kind of a testing link you can see, and you can actually share with different kind of a people. And I just wanted to run a kind of a testing setup as well. So I just open a kind of a, let's do a dry run on this. How does it look? So this opens like this. So when you share this testing link, you can actually share with your participants who is going to perform the test. They can get started. They can read the scenario over here, like search for service provider. This is the kind of a thing they have to do. And they can get started. Now this is the prototype is available to you. Now closely monitor that. I'm deliberately clicking on the on the wrong areas. Like I'm clicking on this point, I'm clicking on somewhere here, there, I'm again clicking over here, I'm clicking over here. Okay, so these kind of things I'm doing just to showcase you the hotspot it creates like that. And I'm clicking over here, then I'm clicking over here. I haven't clicked on the that particular part. So it tells you that is done. And the next question is, okay, let me just finish that. So here, if you can see, the testing is completed by one participant. If you go back in your prototype, you can actually see there are current 0 testers have performed the testing. Once you refresh it, you can actually see 1 tester has performed the testing. And it provides you the information in very detailed manner. Although this is a very less, just for a demo purpose, I'm just showcasing it. So it provides you the information like this. It provides you the how many people have tested that, what is the click rate, what is the average duration and average success. And it also provides you many such analysis on this. And here, if you can see the heat map, these are the areas where people have clicked, or mainly they have clicked. So this is what I have today. Now I just open the forum for question answer. You guys can please unmute if you have, and maybe we can talk. Okay, so I have 2 questions. First of all, by Purva, which among these are tools free? I think most of the things you can actually explore. Like not all the tools I have explored, but Hotjar, Maze, user crowd, user testing. These other tools are a little bit free with respect to the usage and with limited features. So that is very good tools you can explore.
Yeah, one more question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So, you said right that in remote testing there are certain things which are not possible. For example, you
Yeah,
cannot see the person's face and you cannot see the emotions that he's emoting with.
yeah,
So is there a possibility where we can capture the screen as well as the person's face? Like for
yes,
example, you said right that
yeah, yeah,
collaboration can be added, but
yes.
somewhere supposing if I have to work out with some tier 2 kind of a person,
Mhm.
some place where I can't even go, then how am I supposed to explain it to that person? So is there a tool which combines both, like the front camera also opens up and is being recorded as well as the screen
Correct,
is
correct.
getting captured?
So I'll tell you, user testing is one of the tool which is actually you can have proper video recordings of the people with their facial expression and their audio. So that you can that tool you
Okay,
can
okay.
explore. They do not have to install as well. And apart from that, if you use any collaborative tool like Zoom or WebEx, people do not have to install that. They just have to run a temporary installation, and it can work out on that. One question from Nandisha is what is laptop hugging? Okay, that is very nice thing. So what happens, like people have a lot of issues related to performing remote usability testing of any mobile application over the laptop or over the desktop. So there is a kind of a cheap way, I would not say a best way, but yeah, not a recommended one as well, but sometimes it works well. So what you can ask your participant is to turn your laptop so that they can actually so that the laptop camera, the web camera of laptop is actually they can actually it can actually capture your mobile phone screen. So it is called a kind of a laptop hugging. So you actually turn the laptop and you hug the laptop, and then your laptop camera can see the mobile phone screen. So just try search for laptop hugging in remote usability testing. You can actually see a kind of a videos over there. One more question. So once, first of all, I think there is a kind of a time limit for this session, but if you have some more questions, I would love to answer on that. But you can actually leave the questions over the email. We'll also provide you the feedback link, and you can also drop me the message over the LinkedIn. And I would love to answer that if we are not able to complete the answers. But I'm taking a couple of more questions. How much test can we do for with the help of free tool for design? So one of the question asked by Gyan Prakash is that see, for that particular tool you have to actually see what is the free limit for that. Like Maze provides you testing one live testing free for the free account, but number of test sessions is unlimited, so you can have n number of participant performing the test. And does Maze provide Excel files? No, I think that is not available. So Maze only provides you the information over their cloud. They prepare the report, but you can actually take the data from there. How many time you want to test over screen? How many people? There is any restriction? I'm not able to get this question from Bala. But maybe if you, Bala, if you wanted to talk, you can also unmute and talk. There is one question by one person, like some tips for more efficient participant or user recruitment. Okay, so for remote usability testing, I would say always prepare your profile or user profiles in detail, and that is also really important when you are actually preparing in-depth screener, because you are not able to look the end user who is coming to you coming physically to you, and you're actually performing the testing. It's better to evaluate whether that user is correct or not with the help of proper screener. So prepare a detailed in-depth screener, and there are some different online services are also available, which provides you the curated people. Does Maze work with Adobe XD-Link? I do not. I'm not sure, but Maze works with InVision Studio, Figma. And I think one more tool I'm not able to recall, but yeah, only with that. So if you are able to collaborate with your Adobe XD tool with a prototype with InVision, then you can do. If you have any questions, more people can actually come up. I think we just have one last minute. Which are the other free tools for remote testing? I think for that, you have to explore those tools. I'll just open that screen again, the tools screen that you can actually explore. So there are some tools which are missing in this, but you can actually go and check that. So as I said, if you have a live application running, then Hotjar is also one fantastic tool. I will be also planning one more webinar just considering the Hotjar, because it's a very fantastic tool to observe the behavioral analytics, and that is very fascinating area as well. Okay, how to get qualitative data by using, okay, so when you say qualitative data, if you are using any collaborative tool, then you can actually capture the facial expression, you can actually capture the audio and video. Those becomes your qualitative data. When you use Hotjar, it provides you the complete session recordings, video recordings and the screen recordings of the people, where they are, what they are actually doing. So that becomes your qualitative data. As well as if you are actually collaborating with iMotion or Tobii related different tools, you can actually have their facial expressions getting captured, which you can again go back and which you can actually go back and analyze that. So now I would say uh, it's time up, I would say, but I really enjoyed talking about usability testing over the remote. But I definitely understand that this is not a sufficient time frame to talk about this, but I hope I was able to communicate some good information to you guys. We will also provide you a kind of a feedback link for this session. Feel free to answer on that, and stay home, stay safe. Thanks everyone. Thank you.